Okay, I think we'll get started, and if people continue coming in as we're speaking, that's okay. We are going to be recording this, so Maura will send this out to the group that you were invited from, and you can share it with anyone you want, or just review it. Or if you weren't able to attend and aren't here, then thanks for watching this as a recorded version. I am Christy Wendelberger. I am the Climate Smart Project Director. I think we'll go through an introduction of everyone who is on the call as panelists for the project. Maura, you want to get started?
Yeah, sure. My name is Maura Butel. I'm the Climate Smart Outreach Coordinator. I'm the one that has been emailing you. So apologies for the emails, but glad that you're here in person watching this live or recorded. So glad to have you.
Kim?
Yeah, sure. Kim Butts with Carolina Farm Stewardship Association. As part of the project, I will be your technical assistance provider out in the field for the farms who are joining from the Carolinas.
Right.
Glad to have everyone today.
Dari?
Hello, everybody. Good morning. I am Vishwanath Dari. I'm an assistant professor and natural resource specialist, more precisely soil health specialist with cooperative extension at North Carolina Agriculture and Technical State University. I'm involved in this project as technical assistance provider, education extension informations provider, involved in the farmers recruitment informations, and loosely as a soil scientist too. Very excited to be part of this project and welcome you all to this webinar.
And Patrick Brown from the Connect group is going to be joining us. He's a little bit late. We're hoping that he'll be able to make it. So he might pop in a little bit. Let's see. My screen is not advancing. There we go. So just a little bit of housekeeping. I probably should have done this before our introductions, but check that you can hear me. If you cannot hear it, then click on your audio settings on your screen, and you'll be able to figure out that way maybe how you can get it. Oh, hello, Patrick.
Hey.
And we'll introduce Patrick in just a second. And then if you have any, there'll be a Q&A at the end of the presentation. And please use the Q&A button on the screen to send questions. Please don't send it through the chat. It just gets a little cumbersome with the chat. And if it's all siphoned into one location, it makes it easier, and then we won't miss your question. And if you have any other problems, call Justin Barclay. He's our education manager at this phone number that's on the screen. He'll help you with anything else that can't be figured out in terms of joining the webinar. And then we are going to be posting this on farmingclimatesmart.org, as well as sharing this with everybody who has been invited to the presentation. And Rodale has lots of webinars, and so does North Carolina Ag and Tech and Carolina Farm Stewardship Association. So check out all of our websites for more education on farming and your production methods. And so right now I'd like to have Patrick, will you please give us a brief introduction?
Yes, my name is Patrick Brown. I'm the owner of the Connect Group LLC, providing technical assistance on the Rodale project for conventional producers throughout Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Alabama, Georgia and Alabama.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know why my screen doesn't want to. There we go. So the Southern Piedmont Climate Smart Project is a $25 million project that was funded by the USDA through the Climate Smart Commodities Program, and a combination of 12 different organizations, well, 13 total different organization partner groups who are working together across the Southeast to try to understand climate smart methods in the Southeast and overall help move everybody a little bit forward towards being a little bit more sustainable and regenerative in your agricultural practices. So our partners are Carolina Farm Stewardship Association, Clemson University, the Connect Group, Emory University, Georgia Organics, North Carolina Ag and Tech, North Carolina State University, University of Georgia, the University of Tennessee, Soil Health Institute, Virginia Association of Biological Farming, and the University of Wisconsin. And Rodale is leading the project and working very closely with everybody on this team to move this project forward. The project is located in the southern Piedmont of the Southeast. The southern Piedmont is this area that is in green on the map. Each of these little lines here is a county. So if you visually know where your county is, then you can figure out where you are on this map and whether you or the farmers that you know are in the southern Piedmont. If you cannot figure out from looking at the map what county you and your farmers are in, we do have a list of the farmers of the counties that are eligible for the project on farmingclimatesmart.org. As part of this project, we are looking at greenhouse gas and soil health impacts on 50 organic and 50 conventional diverse vegetable farms based off of their cover crop termination technique. Also, as a part of this, we're going to be looking at the differences between the economics of the two different techniques and the barriers to change for farmers that are applying these two different techniques. We are also doing a Climate Smart Commodities marketing study where we are going to enroll 30 farmers markets from across the southern Piedmont and up to 400 other producers to do a consumer marketing and messaging campaign. Just real quick, so when I'm talking about this briefly, you will understand what the different production methods that we're talking about are. On organic and or naturally grown farms, we're going to ask them to split their enrolled property in half. And half of that property, they are going to roll their cover crops in the spring and plant into the residue. And the other half, they're going to cut the cover crops and plant into plastic. And then on the conventional farms, half of the property, they're going to roll the cover crop and plant it into the residue. And the other half of the property, they're going to herbicide the cover crops and then use plastic. So all of our soil, greenhouse gas, economic, and barriers to change are going to be assessing each of these different types of termination methods across these operation types. The questions that we're going to answer by growing climate smart commodities is we're going to ask, what is the potential for southern Piedmont vegetable farmers to lower greenhouse gas emissions, increase carbon sequestration, and improve overall soil quality using climate smart practices, and specifically these cover crop termination methods? What is the carbon and greenhouse gas life cycle from seed to fruit on the farms based off of these cover crop termination methods? How can we improve Comet Planner to include diverse vegetable farming in the model? Currently, if you're trying to use Comet Planner to understand what your greenhouse gas methods are and to kind of dive into some of the USDA programming, you really can't if you're a diverse vegetable farmer, because there just simply isn't a button to push for if you are growing diverse vegetables within their model. They have a button for corn, they have a button for soy, for cotton, for a bunch of the large row croppers, but they don't have one for diverse vegetables. So we are going to try to give them some of the information that they may need to help them build that button. And what are the social and cultural barriers for these farmers to transition to climate smart ag? What are the economic barriers for them, both in the beginning and then out into across 5 years? And then recommendations for the USDA to help farmers transition to climate smart ag. On some of the farms, we're going to be putting greenhouse gas towers that are going to be analyzing nitrous oxide, ammonia, methane, and carbon dioxide. This is the first time that any of us know that there has ever been a study looking at these 4 different gases all at the same time in an open field cropping system. So it's really exciting. It's really cutting edge, and we're very excited to get started on that part. And the analyzers that we're using are called open path analyzers. And basically what makes them special is if you look at this machine here, there is a laser that bounces back and forth between 2 mirrors here, and the analyzer assesses the speed the laser moves, which then can tell it what is the chemical makeup of the air. So that's how we will assess greenhouse gas emissions. We're also going to add to these towers meteorological stations that are going to give air temperature, relative humidity, vapor pressure, barometric pressure, wind and solar radiation, precipitation, lightning strikes, soil moisture and temperature probe. So just everything that's happening on your farm that might impact the way greenhouse gas emissions are put off, the way your soil health is, and just overall the way your crop grows. Flux measurements of the soil are going to be also obtained using a Picaro soil flux monitor, and we're going to have data loggers looking at that are logging data 24/7, and solar panels on there that's going to run the machines. We're also going to go onto each farm and collect 5 samples per, I have here business as usual, but it's per rolled and per plastic property in this. And we're going to do that every fall. I didn't update this line. So it is every fall, and we're collecting samples from 0 to 5 centimeters, 5 to 15 centimeters, and 15 to 30 centimeters. And all years we're going to be performing these different soil health, looking at these different soil health indicators, as well as texture in years 1 and 5. And those indicators will be assessed at all 3 different depths within each of those soil samples. As I mentioned before, Comet Planner, we're going to validate and improve it for the southeastern diverse vegetable production. I mean, really, we're going to help them make the button. We will provide them data that can at least move them in the direction forward to be able to do that. Economic barriers to change. We have data shared yearly per rolled and plastic fields. So that's what the farmers will be providing this data over the course of the year. And it's lots of things like crop yields, price crops were sold for, your inputs, the amount and price of seed, for example, how many passes of the machinery did you do, fertilizer costs, labor hours, those things, all per rolled or plastic field. We'll gather things about you, about the farmers personally, so their age, how many years they've been farming, things like that, that can help us assess the economic and the social barriers that may be occurring. And then your farm acreage, number of acres under this type of different kinds of climate smart ag. So we will have the area that's enrolled, but perhaps on your farm you have other things that you're doing. And so we want to know more about that too. And that's not all the stuff we'll be asking. It's just kind of an example of some of the questions we might ask a farmer over the course of a year. For social barriers to change, we're going to have yearly focus groups where 15 organic and 15 conventional farmers, and organic also could be naturally grown, so you don't have to be certified, and 15 conventional farmers. And there'll be in-person meetings where you're going to discuss issues with transitioning to these 2 different termination types, and just differences with your, what is happening with you socially within your family. What kind of education support do you need? What kind of costs do you need to help you in this process? And then also we're going to have an app, which I'll explain later, that will be on your phone. And we'll be asking you some multiple choice questions about your feelings, about farmer feelings and interests and beliefs in implementing climate smart practices and using different termination techniques. And we'll be asking you to submit photos of success and challenges that you're facing or the farmers are facing on the farm related to this project. So there'll be education and outreach. We have a team of organic and conventional farming experts. We have a few of those here today with us. We also have our web portal, farmingclimatesmart.org, where you can find the application for this. And as time goes on, we're building it out where there will be more farmer resources and more information about climate smart farming and regenerative farming in the Southeast. There'll be technical assistance, videos highlighting early climate smart adopters, field days to learn about cover cropping and no-till equipment, conferences, webinars, and fact sheets, and just lots of other kind of formal and informal opportunities to learn about climate smart ag, both from the farmer perspective, and then also if you're an extension agent or an NRCS agent and you want to come to any of our field days or any of our events, absolutely, you're welcome to join us. And then questions. So greenhouse gas and soil and carbon sequestration by marketing climate smart commodities. So this is work that's going to happen both at the farmers markets, but also some of this will happen beyond. We're going to develop and expand markets for the climate smart commodities in the Southeast. Some of our questions are going to be, can farm to facts, which I'll explain in a minute, the ecosystem services tool be used to assess how climate smart a Southern Piedmont farmers operation is? What marketing strategies are most effective in influencing consumers in purchasing value-added climate smart commodities? And what recommendations can we provide to the USDA on how to influence consumer decision-making toward the purchase of value-added climate smart commodities? So Farm to Facts is an app that was created by the University of Wisconsin. And currently it's, well, in its first form, it was used by market managers to measure the economic, social, and ecological impacts of the market. Managers would use the data to make informed decisions and to work with stakeholders to achieve market goals, and also to apply to grants and fundraising and for community outreach. The University of Wisconsin has now built the ecosystem services tool for farmers, and this tool will be validated and improved on throughout the duration of this project. The greenhouse gas and soil health farmers, as well as market farmers, are going to participate in this piece of the project in order to move this forward. And then market farmers are going to post the results on the tables at market, and we're going to assess that through consumer surveys. So the consumer marketing campaign at markets, we're going to create this consumer education campaign where we will assess a suite of communications and marketing materials to educate and influence consumer buy-in. We're going to use social media, newsletters, signage at the markets, and the printouts from the ESS tool that are going to be put on the table. And the media and newsletters will be within the market social media and the market newsletters. Market managers will collect weekly sales data, perform consumer surveys, and track climate smart commodities sold at the market. And we're also going to quantify consumer behavioral change over time using these different methods and the surveys. We're going to ask about scaling up in terms of greenhouse gas and carbon sequestration. So the questions we'll be asking are, what are the potential impacts on greenhouse gas emissions? Should all farmers within the Southern Piedmont adopt these cover crop termination methods on these farms? And will current locations where climate smart crops are grown in the Southeast continue to be suitable in the future, given predictions for the changing climate? So we all know the climate is changing. We've seen the USDA hardiness zone map that was recently published, where the hardiness zones have all moved up. That's going to continue to happen over time. And so as that happens, there's the chance that some of the crops that we grow here right now, we won't be able to grow in the future. So what could that look like is really what this modeling is going to do. So we're going to use advanced methodological modeling efforts to predict climate impacts on agricultural systems, integrating the highest use spatial data available, and will generate high resolution suitability models for major US crops in the region. So basically, given the climate that we have now and what we can grow now, should that climate change, how will the crops that we can grow in the area change? And then we'll assess that impact of change on the grown crops. We're going to ask the farmers who are participating in the greenhouse gas and soil health data to enter their data through a tool called Pocket. It's going to be on their phone, and basically they're going to get these 5-minute surveys once a week that ask them all the questions like from the economics that I was talking about, or some of the barriers to change, or just basic on-farm production methods. And so they'll be answering those surveys and through this app. They'll also be able to request technical assistance help through the app. They're going to be able to interact with the Climate Smart team and also interact with each other across the entire project, all the farmers in the project. They're going to be able to provide verification of completed tasks so that they can get their incentives for the project as time goes on. Data verification, the technical assistance will be discussed and arranged through this with the researchers and the technical assistance team, excuse me. And then we'll be able to provide real-time feedback, which I feel like we just said. And then there's an interactive dashboard that the Climate Smart team will be able to look at. And that's how we'll know, okay, this farmer has put in their picture that verified they did this practice, and now we can pay them incentives for doing that. Or we can see they've been answering their surveys, so we can pay them the incentives for answering the surveys. And we also will be able to view your contributions from as I just said, and download data from there. And it'll help us identify farmers who might be in need of assistance. So if a farmer is not answering their surveys, we'll know, and we'll be able to kind of go out there and ask them what's going on and help them. So in a nutshell, the benefits to farmers are to bring diverse vegetable growers to the table at the USDA, lay the foundation for climate smart ag in the Southern Piedmont, increase consumer buy-in to purchasing climate smart products, and build a socially connected network of farmers across the region. The science that we're going to get from this is a more accurate assessment of greenhouse gas mitigation and carbon sequestration in southern soils, greenhouse gas emissions and nutrient flow through the system, impacts of roller crimping and plastic use across organic and conventional farming, and approaches to integrating farmers markets, and consumers, enhancing consumer willingness to pay for climate smart commodities. We're also going to get recommendations that we're going to give to the USDA and lawmakers for the economic, social, educational, technical, and marketing barriers to transition to climate smart ag for underserved and small scale farmers. And it's going to create a farming community, at least that's our hope, is to create a farming community in the Southeast that's ready to meet the challenge of climate smart agriculture and primed to work with and answer questions for future cutting edge farming research. So that was the project in general. That's what we're doing. So the question is, okay, if I'm a farmer and I join this project, what do I really have to do on the farm? As I showed you before, depending on who you are and what your operation type is, if you're organic or naturally grown, you split your enrolled property in two. You will plant a cover crop that we provide, and then in the spring you will terminate your cover crop either with half of the enrolled field with a roller crimper and then plant into the residue, and the other half you're going to cut with a flail mower or some kind of mower and use plastic to plant into. We will also provide the cash crop that you were growing. The conventional farmers are going to do the same thing, split the property in two. Half of the property they're going to roll in the spring with a cover crop and plant, or roll with a roller crimper and plant, and then the other half they're going to burn down the cover crop with herbicide and plant and put in plastic. We are also going to provide them the same cover crops and the same cash crops rotation. outside of those things we're providing and we're asking you to do, the farmers can just do it as they would. Just all the rest of it is their production methods. I pretty much have gone through it. You're going to split it into two, plant what we give you, follow our crop rotation, follow the termination techniques, and otherwise it's just how you would do it and whatever you would do. As I mentioned, on organic, we have these two different fields, plastic and rolled, and you will terminate it with either a flail mower or a roller crimper, and then use plastic or roll. And same with the conventional, it's plastic and rolled, and either chemically terminate or terminate with a roller crimper. Additionally, each farmer is going to we're going to need to be allowed on your property every year to access the enrolled acreage for soil samples, answer farm and production questions based on the rolled and plastic plots and across the farm, and complete farm to facts annually. All farms who need project-specific equipment are going to be provided that in the fall. You will be asked to help us move that equipment if you need it. So moving no-till drills in the fall within this designated chain, and we're going to work out the logistics to that. And then in the spring, move roller crimpers and no-till planters to also within a designated chain. And you do get small incentive payments. Farmers will get paid for helping us move that equipment. 30 farmers will participate in the annual focus groups. I've already talked about that, the 15 different conventional and organic farmers in person, talking about your struggles to change, or maybe how easy it is to change. And then we're going to have 4 farms that are going to have these eddy covariance towers that I described, 2 on each of those farms, 1 in the rolled property and 1 in the plastic property. And then in order to, I've kind of briefly mentioned some incentives, but you do get a lot of incentives. We have over $6 million in non-cash and cash incentives for the greenhouse gas and soil health study. For non-cash incentives, it's free technical assistance on the project property. We provide project-related roller crimpers, no-till seed drills, and no-till transplanters as needed. Vegetable seed for up to 10 acres of enrolled property. Cover crop seed for it is up to 10 acres as well in the enrolled property. And then reimbursements on inputs. We have a per acre per year cash incentives across the system for cash incentives. You get paid for participating in the economic analysis, for participating in comment model surveys if we ask you to do those, and participating in farm effect surveys, participating in barriers to change studies, and more. I don't have an exact number on how much everything is, but the per acre per year cash incentives is $1,500. And then each of those other things are smaller bits and pieces that add up over time. In the marketing strategy study, there's non-cash incentives. Our farm to facts account for each market and farmer who gets the market, the vendor. And then also market managers and participating market farmers will get paid for, the market managers get paid for assisting in the project, and the participating farmers, vendors get paid for doing the farm to facts and posting it on their tables. So as I mentioned, we have this team of organic and conventional farming experts. And I'm just going to give a little bit of time. I don't know if you guys who are here on the call want to talk a little bit about some of, if there's anything that that farmers have been asking questions about as you've been going along, or something you want to just kind of mention to somebody who may be trying to reach out to farmers about this project that could help them. Kim or Patrick or Dari.
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in real quick. So, we've been recruiting for quite some time now. We have a lot of interest. We have quite a few signed contracts. And I think some of the bigger questions that have been asked are, what's the model? So do I have to grow 1 acre of tomatoes, or do I have to grow 5 acres of tomatoes? So, in putting together both the research and, the implementation of, minimal to no-till practices and trying to use some of these more sustainable farming practices, the answer to that question has come to light that, if we're small and we're diversified veg, then, putting 1 acre into one specific cash crop is not always going to be advantageous to our small farms. So, I think the big thing to understand here is that, enrolled acreage will be split in half, and we say this business as usual model, but the business as usual piece of that is however you set it up, however, you amend your soil. We are going to be asking, for specific cover crop and specific vegetable commodities. But within that mix, as long as we have 2 plots who are doing two separate practices, there can be several crops on those enrolled pieces so that you're getting your cash crop flow, as long as those 2 pieces mirror one of the cash crop commodities that we're asking you to grow, and then following that very specific set of standards. So,
Well,
go
Kim, real
ahead.
quick, I think that we've landed on that we're gonna have them, we'll pick like 4 commodities. that
Yes, exactly. But
they'll grow on that acreage.
yeah. And so it's not just, you're not just gonna have 1 acre of one commodity. You'll be able to have that diversified veg that you're accustomed to. And I see there is a bunch of questions in the Q&A about, plastic versus, landscape fabric and that type of thing. So that may be a question best suited for, Christy, if we decided, completely decided which way we want to go with that, but it was plastic culture. So, because that's pretty typical in the small diversified veg. So, that's like one of the big questions that we have. And then, we've covered the equipment. A lot of people say, well, we would love to be able to implement these practices, but we don't have that equipment. So just answering the questions about what type of equipment we're going to be using, how they're going to be able to use that equipment, how they're going to get that to their farm, how that's all going to work out. So those have been some of the other questions that we've had. And then just the technical assistance, will there be hand holding? Can you help us make this happen? Of course, I mean, we want this project to be successful. This research is going to be important for, our small farmers or smaller farmers. So yeah, we'll be out there in full force to help you get through some of these practices and implementing some of these new practices.
Okay, Patrick, do you have something to add?
I would just say absolutely, what Kim stated, we're here to help assist through this project, and any questions or concerns throughout the project, our technical assistance advisors can help as it goes, or as it relates to naturally grown, organic, or conventional. We're not trying to make it difficult for the farmer to participate. We're trying to make it so that they can incorporate these practices into a system that they're already doing, as well as similarities to business as usual for row crop production. So my contact information is throughout all the brochures. If any farmers need any type of assistance, I'm willing to come out to the farm and assess the land and some areas that you would like to incorporate the project based on the contract that you sign. And we're just open to help engage with the producer with any type of assistance or questions that they may have.
And do you have anything to add, Dari? I feel like we.
Yes, quickly. I know you're clicking by the time. I completely go with Kim and Patrick. I think there is a question in the question and answer sessions, which we have to answer anyway. The instrument wise, the equipment, our goal so far, and Christy can put more light onto that later, will be provided. We just have to make sure which locations your farm is. We'll make that accommodations. So our goal for this project, if your farm is enrolled and do not have access to any farm equipment, which we have a question in the question and answer session, we will provide that equipment. It might have to move from other farms to another farm, but we will make all the coordinations. One other things I receive a lot of questions about, farmers are really advanced, how the data will be generated, how the data will be used, and how can I get help with. They know kind of all this cover crop termination method are the thing. but they're really excited to be part of data because they also are equally excited to create and generate the data in the small farm scale. So one thing I would like to tell, we are expert sitting on the other side of the table, like Kim and Patrick. Patrick is ready to go to your farm and help. And Kim is always available, I know, and we are too. So all these expert people are actually available for any kind of cover crop, soil health, greenhouse gas emissions. Christie's presentation is really well and for overall understanding and daily basis when you do the farming, there are many technical questions. So disturb us to get help in this project or the project period, please.
Okay, great, thank you. Let's see, got more slides. And as everybody just said, we are going to provide technical assistance on all of these things. And this is the equipment that we're going to have, and that we are flexible. We haven't purchased the equipment yet. The equipment will be purchased once we have a significant number of the farmers onboarded. Then we are going to assess what kind of equipment the farmers are using, and we're going to purchase the equipment based off of that. So if everybody is using a BCS and nobody has a tractor, then it'll all be BCS style equipment that will work. And if some have tractors, then we will make it work for that. And you know, there's been some questions along the way of, well, if I don't have, you know, do I need to implement, you know, to how do I, if I need special equipment to attach it, to make its adapters to attach the equipment to the tractor, what, you know, do they have to buy it? Our hope is to, and our goal is to make it so you don't have to buy any equipment specific to this project, and we'll be able to help move that forward. And that's just going to take, you know, kind of a back and forth conversation amongst all of us, to including the farmers, to make sure that everybody is set up with what they need. What are the requirements to participate? A farmer must have an FSA number, or they must be willing to obtain one. And our team can help with that. But what we would suggest, you know, we can help guide a farmer on how to do that if they need that. You must be a diverse vegetable farmer in the Southern Piedmont. The reason we're picking it specifically to the Southern Piedmont is because the soils within the Southern Piedmont are very similar across the whole region. And so we want to be able to have relatable measurements across the farms to be able to really provide good data on these cropping techniques. The acreage may not be enrolled in other NRCS cost share programs for cover crops or reduced till. Now, you can have other pieces of your property that are enrolled within these NRCS projects, but it can't be the exact land that is being enrolled into this project. As long as the exact land is different than anything else enrolled in other NRCS cost share projects, then you're good to go. Willing to enroll 1 to 10 acres in the project for 4 years. Follow project planting and cover cropping rotation that we provide. Provide the data via the phone application that we've talked about. Participate in related practice trainings. We have one mandatory training that we will be performing. We have several farm field days we're going to be doing this year, and a farmer is required to go to at least one of them so that they can be trained for the project. And allow project teams scheduled access to enrolled acreage for data collection. And then what do you have to do and get for being a participating farmers market? For a farmers market, we're going to learn how we can improve the value-added marketing potential. That's what we're doing at the market. It's educational advertising, increasing consumer buy-in to the purchase of value-added climate smart products. What will happen at the market? We're going to, market managers will create a farm effects profile annually. It doesn't take that long to create. Recruit market vegetable farmers to participate in the project, meaning that they fill out the ESS tool and put that up on their tables at market. Post the marketing materials that we provide on your social media and in your market newsletters and on an A-frame sign that we provide for market, and perform consumer surveys. Participating vendors will complete the ecosystem services tool annually, display it at the market, and report sales data annually. And what does this team do for the market? We provide training for the project. So we have kickoff meetings, in-person training at the market for consumer surveys, and technical support along the way as needed. We provide materials for consumer surveys, an A4 stand, a clipboard, clickers, survey materials, basically whatever you need for the consumer surveys, and then provide advertising. So we will give the market managers the social media posts, the newsletter materials, and the materials to put inside the E-frames, and we'll switch that out periodically, but we'll provide the materials that you'll use for that. And market managers will get $500 per year for performing this and $50 per year for completing farm to facts. And the market farmers will get $50 a year for doing the ecosystem services tool and posting it on their tables. And everyone will get a subscription to Farm to Facts, which is a $250 a year equivalent. So how to enroll? If you're a farmer, you're a market manager, what do you do to enroll in the project? Go to farmingclimatesmart.org. There's application forms there, informational webinars, informational material, and frequently asked questions. So if there's more questions, then you can go there. There's also contacts, our contacts for everybody is on that website. So you can find everything there. And once a farmer applies, there is a small filter system that we put the farmers through, meaning we check to make sure they're in the Southern Piedmont. We check to make sure that a diverse vegetable farmer. We make sure that they have, that they're willing to participate in the way that we are asking them to participate. There's certain questions on that. And there isn't much, as long as you do that. We would like the farmer to be 2 acres or more on their farm, to be farming 2 acres or more, because we don't want to ask them to put all their eggs in our basket. We want them to be able to be doing this project and then also be farming on their own operation and their own styles. So we have made some exceptions to that, but it's on a very case-by-case basis. Let's see, we have, as I said, if you want more information, you can go to those sites. If you know a farmer who is interested, or if you're a farmer that's interested, but you really feel like you need a site visit to understand how this works, you can contact Patrick. That's his email, and there is his phone number. And you're always welcome to contact me or Dari or Kim. And you can, if you can find our contact information related to the Southern Piedmont Climate Smart project, just contact one of us and we will be willing to find out how we can answer your question. And if that means moving you on to someone else to do that, then that will be done. So I think for now, I am done with this part of the webinar. I am going to open up the Q&A. I'll leave up everybody's contact information in case you want to look at that. Go to Q&A and see if anything has been answered.
Hey, Christy, I thought of 2 more questions that are asked quite often. And the first one is from the farmers market's perspective. A lot of the interest in farmers markets specific to the Carolinas for me. One of the questions is, do the farmers have to implement these climate smart practices? And so, if they are a participating farmer at the market, is this something they have to do? And the answer to that is no. They don't have to, but we would, we're encouraging these practices. So the hope is that, they take that baseline farmer survey when we first get started as a participant in the market. This is specific to the veg. And then, they display that, and then hopefully over the course of the next few years want to implement and learn more and implement additional practices. So I know that's been a big one. And then when we're talking about the vegetable farmers, Some of the other questions, the other question that we had, and I'm completely losing it. So I think I'm going to step back out so I can regain it and then step back in when I remember.
Okay, sounds good. Oh, we'll move on to the question and answer section and maybe you'll remember by then. So one question was, does business as usual plot have to be plastic culture? So I think that this is probably partly my fault that we're even using the term business as usual. I actually in our next team meeting, I'm going to recommend to everyone that we stop using the term business as usual because it's confusing. We have roller crimped plots and we have plastic plots. Those are the two plots we have. That is what every farmer has to do. And that's just the project. So the business as usual portion of it comes in, okay, I have plastic down, but for some reason I want to put down, insecticide. I'm a conventional farmer. I want to put down synthetic insecticides. Fine, do it. We have you want to put down mulch in between, go for it. You use drip irrigation versus or drip or you use overhead irrigation, however you irrigate, or you don't irrigate, that's fine. Whatever you do besides whatever you do to make your farm successful is what you do to make these plots successful. The only thing that is mandatory is using the cash crops and the cover crops we provide and doing the termination methods in those two plots as we are asking. With plastic, is the woven landscape cover or the rolled plastic? That is a good question. And I don't think landscape cover has come up within our team as we've been developing the project. I'm not going to answer that for now. We need to get back to that and think about it. I think I've always been envisioning it as being plastic that is put on with a layer machine. But I think we'll need to discuss that. And we'll get back to you and put it in the frequently asked questions on our website for the answers, or you can email me again and I can send that to you. Can we use biodegradable plastic or landscape fabric? So biodegradable plastic you can use, yes. And I think that we're gonna say yes to landscape fabric, but I'm not 100% on that yet. So we will put that on the website under the frequently asked questions.
A lot of people, Christy, are starting to switch to, well, not a lot of people are starting to switch, but many farmers use that as a way to reduce that plastic use.
Okay. Yeah. What if all the market farmers do not want to participate in taking the surveys, etc.? Could I still enroll the market? So for the market, for the market, there is Farm to Facts. And as a part of Farm to Facts, there are vendor questions that you ask. And that is part for the market manager. Then there is the extra piece, which is the ecosystem services tool, which is new. And that piece is for your vendors. Currently, we have funding for the vegetable vendors within those markets. We may have funding as we roll it out and figure out really how many vegetable vendors there are at these markets. We may have more funding for other vendors that don't sell vegetables. But everyone does not have to in the first year. This is a 4-year program. Everyone doesn't have to, period. But if you think none of your vendors are ever going to do it, then please respectfully decline. But if the idea is that we're expecting that you'll do it, you'll do Farm to Facts, you'll start talking about that with your market, with your vendors, you'll ask them to enroll. There'll be a couple that will enroll and do the ecosystem services tool. And then their neighbors are going to see the tool up on the table and they'll start talking. They're going to see our advertisement at the market. They're going to start looking into it. And we're expecting that in time, more of the vendors will enroll. So if you have 20 vendors and 3 enroll in the first year, maybe the next year there's going to be 10 that enroll. And then the year after that, maybe they'll all enroll. So we do expect that to be kind of like a rolling system of them enrolling. So if they don't all enroll right away, it's completely okay. The program will be going on for 4 consecutive years for farmers markets too. Yes. So this is a 4-year, it's in total a 5-year program, but the first year has been just really lifting the project. So yes, the 4 years will be for all 4 for the markets as well. Will farmers who sell at multiple markets be reporting data displaying signage only at the participating market? So if you are a farmer and you sell at 5 markets and only one of those 5 markets are participating markets, you are welcome to put your signage up at all those markets if you want to, but we're only going to be doing the research at the one participating market. But you're welcome to put the signage up anywhere you want. And you're welcome to print it out smaller and put it in your CSA bags. You're welcome to do whatever you want with it. If you are a farmer and you sell at 5 markets and 2 of those markets are participating markets, then we would ask for you to put that sign up at both of those markets. But the incentives that you receive for performing and putting up the sign will still be the same as if you were from 1, if that makes sense, because you're not really doing more work, you're just putting the sign on your table at both markets. Let's see. I think I have reached all of the questions. Is there anything else or anything the team wants to add?
I remembered my question. The question most asked, new land, enrolling new land in the project. So I just wanted to quickly address that, or Christy, you can address that if you'd like, but that is
Yeah.
also one of the great one of the biggest questions asked, like, hey, I have more acreage and I'd love to enroll it in this program. May I or may I not do that?
Right. So a lot of, you're right, Kim, a lot of people have talked about using this as an opportunity to expand their farming or their farming acreage. And you are welcome to expand your farming acreage. However, for this project, because we are looking at soils and soil health and greenhouse gas metrics, when you break a field that is currently in pasture and then turn it into a vegetable system, there is so much going on there in terms of gassing off of gases from the soil, changes in the nutrients in the soil, changes in the microbial activity in the soil. So much happens when you break that field to do that, and it happens for a long time. It's a really disruptive experience for the soil. So we would ask that you would use the fields you are currently farming on for the project, and then break new fields for your daily production, because we just don't think we would get comparable data off of fields that are freshly broken.
Christy, I receive a question and I want you to answer so that people can hear it out. Little bit slightly modified question than what Kim often receive. I'm not a new farmer, but I did grow hemp specifically. I'm not saying the name, but that's the question I received. Soil is healthy, fluffy, because it's a deep root crop, everything is ready. Now I actually want my family farm to turn into a vegetable farming. So I'm not new farmer, but new to the suite of vegetable crop. And I'm really excited about this project. Can I enroll myself? Please, do you mind, or Kim, do you mind to answer, please?
Yeah, they can enroll. Because really it's, if they just grew one thing on their land for a long time and they want to transition that into more diverse things, that is completely fine. Because really it's mostly the concern we have is that when you break a new field, then you are drying out the soil to a certain depth, you're exposing light to it at a certain depth, you're breaking up microbial and fungal communities in there. And so if you're already doing that, but it's just with a monocrop, whether it's hemp or corn or whatever, then that's okay in terms of being how that will impact this like period of time where the soil's kind of freaking out because it's something, you know, it's major change. So it's totally fine if they're going from hemp to vegetable.
Another question, Christy, if I have time to, I know there are many NRCS people maybe in the call, so the question might be relevant. And I kind of know the answer, you kind of touched it, but I'm still going to ask the question. Hey, I have 1 acre or whatever with the NRCS CSP program. Now I would like to work with Christy in this project. Do I need to get prior, after, during the process of sharing the data of this project with NRCS people, because you are in the cell? So how can I differentiate these 2 projects if 2 pieces of my land are part of this project versus NRCS? How involved I need to be the
Yeah.
NRCS people into this project? Would you mind to like?
Yeah, so on everybody's farm is going to have an FSA number. And as a part of having an FSA number, you will be assigned field numbers. And so, you know, if we're all lucky, the field numbers will be different. So it'll be 1 field number, you'll be having that, whatever that NRCS practice that you're getting compensated for will be on 1 field number, and then this will be on another field number, and that makes it very clean and smooth. Now, if it's not that way, and you have one field, and your field is 30 acres, and you have 5 acres that you're getting NRCS funding for, and then a different 5 acres within that same field, you want to put this project on, that's okay too, because we are going to map the exact acreage of the enrolled land. And so we will let the NRCS know that it is in a different location on the farm. And so that'll be a conversation that we'll have when we're submitting the data. We just need to make sure that like the actual land you're standing on is not the same that is getting it. Other than that, we can figure out how to let them know that that's.
Christy, I promise this is the last question. Okay. So
Okay.
at least from 3 farmers, I received that question. I have 10 acres, 20 acres, whatever land. Can my farm, the Dari's farm, be enrolled 1 part as an organic? Because I do practice both organic and conventional, because that question came up when I was trying to recruit the conventional farmer. Each side of the farm can be enrolled in the organic farming part of the project, and then west side of the farm. Is it a possibility that way?
Yes, they can enroll both organic and conventional in the project if they both do that, if they do both. I would have to speak with the USDA about how that works with the incentives. But in theory, yes, they can do both. Let's see, there's a few more questions in here I want to get to. Can I use my outside garden instead? Is there a problem with my commitment with a livestock CSA and woodlands grazing and browsing for my goats? So this is just for vegetable production, not integrated livestock. Let's see, can I use my outside garden? I'm not understanding really what can I use my outside gardens instead? So maybe if you could, Jean.
Well, yeah, Jean had asked if she could use the high tunnels for the production piece in diversified veg, and I had answered no. So so
I
as
had the
long as
same
that,
question too. Somebody asked me the high tunnel thing. I clearly said no, we cannot.
Yeah, no, we can't use high tunnels for this particular project.
But now, Jean, if your outside gardens are diversified veg and meet the minimum requirements of the project, that would be fine. But the livestock is excluded. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like if you have integrated livestock or just livestock on your property, that's totally fine. But the land that is enrolled must only be vegetable and not include livestock. And then will the market farmers have to sign a contract to participate? So yes, they will be signing a contract. And then it says, I'm very protective of our market farmers, so want to get as much information on their participation as possible. Since I'm a manager, I will be like to take on most of the work. We would love you to take on most of the work. Would be great. They do have to sign a contract because if they're going to get paid, they have to basically we have to get some information from the USDA as per our contract with USDA. So they need, there is certain information that we need from them. And so they do have to sign a contract, but once that happens, if you want to help walk them through the ESS tool and you want to print the tool out and put it on their, for them and put it on their table, go for it. That's totally fine. But in terms of, but as Kim mentioned, the market farmers do not have to do all of this other extensive differences. They just do what they do, and then they fill out this ESS tool that says that kind of rates what they do, and then they put that on their table. That's all they have to do for us. How often would I, the market manager, need to be of assistance with helping the Climate Smart team with consumer surveys, streamlining market farmers, farm to fact surveys, and overall market research outreach at market, daily, monthly, bi-monthly? Okay, so the market manager will be, you'll fill out farm to facts once a year, and your market vendors fill out the ecosystem services tool once a year. All of the information we're going to be sending to markets is going to come out periodically. So, in an ideal world, we're going to do 4 per year at the markets, 4 switches per year. So we'll give you a packet of social media content, newsletter content, A-frame content, and that will be put out, and then that's out at the market for a few months, and then there's a consumer survey. Then once the consumer survey happens, we switch out all of those marketing materials, and then those sit there for a few months, and then there's a consumer survey. And we do that again and again. Ideally, we'll do that 4 times a year, but we recognize markets run in different schedules, and so that'll end up being probably on a per market basis on how. Okay, I think that's it. I think we are past our time, unless there is anything else. See, how long does acreage need to have been in vegetable production for? Does it need to have been in constant production prior to the study? So it needs to have been in some form of production, and that could be, as Daria pointed out, that could be as in hemp, if it was, or all corn, maybe. It has to have been some form of production for a year before starting this, not in pasture. As long as it was in some form of production for a year, then you're good to go. If you want to transition to vegetable after growing, hemp, or only watermelons, or only corn for a while, that's okay. But the ground can't have been just laying fallow for 10 years and then be used. What if your produce will be allocated only to USDA farm to school and not a farmer's market? How does that affect participation? So if that is for Brenda, I believe you have signed up for the project, and you can sell your food to whoever you want. It's okay. You don't have to sell it at a farmer's market. It seems a little confusing, because there are the 100 farmers that are part of the soil health greenhouse gas study that will have soil cores taken. Some will have eddy covariance towers. We'll ask you the questionnaires. We'll ask you about social barriers to change. That segment of 100 farmers, they can sell their produce anywhere they want. Then there is the other section of farmers that are only part of the program. Is there somebody's? No, because they're through the the farmers markets, and those markets, it's just what they sell at that one particular market that they're through that we're really concerned with, that is a part of the project. Outside of that, you do you and as you need to do.
Hey, Christy, I got to jump off. Thank you,
All
everyone.
right.
If you need
Okay.
anything, feel free to reach out.
All right, thank you, Kim. We have one more question that I'll answer, and then after that, well, I guess I see two more questions. And then after that, we are past our hours, so we will, you're welcome to contact me if you need to with any more questions. So when will the vegetable commodities be provided? Will they be plant or seed? They'll be provided, we're gonna work on that. We're still working on what that vegetable rotation is gonna look like. And whether or not they are transplants or seed will depend on what it is what that actual rotation looks like. We are about to embark on working out that plan. We've been waiting to onboard a certain critical mass of farmers before we made those decisions, because we wanted to make those decisions with farmers. And so soon we will be creating a focus group with those who are signed up and talking to them about kind of the more nitty-gritty of their operations and things that in the rotation that we're going to be asking you to use. Will you provide the tractor and implements? Do you need the specific row length and space for the tractor and turnaround? So we will not be providing tractors. If you do not use a tractor and you use something else, then we will work with you on that. And if if you have a tractor and you use that, then we will work with you on how the kind of equipment that we're going to purchase. And beyond that, if there's more need for implements beyond that, that'll be handled on a case-by-case basis. Okay, I think we've gotten them all. So if you have any more questions, like I said, you can reach out to anyone on the Southern Piedmont Climate Smart team. If you want someone to come to your house and answer or to your farm and just kind of do a walk around and really get a feel for whether or not you should be on this project, you should call Patrick Brown. His email and telephone number is there. And any questions that you have, you can ask me, Dari, Kim, Maura, which I was remiss in putting her contact information here, but anybody who is on the team. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We did record this, and we are going to put, we will send this out. We will put it on farmingclimatesmart.org, and we are also going to send it out to the list that Maura sent everyone to invite for the webinar itself. So thank you, and thank you to Dari and Patrick and Kim and Maura and our education department, mostly Justin, for putting all of this together.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Everybody, have a good day.
You too. Bye.